What are we calling the show this year?
This is the Patriots Pregame Show, presented by Dunkin.
Patriots Chinwag, Patriots Before the Game Show.
Jones, he's throwing it toward Thornton, left corner of the end zone, caught, touchdown New England.
Hey, it's the Patriots.
The Patriots Pregame Show is your source for all the latest news and information before every game.
He tucked into the house again.
Here we
the
go.
Patriots take the lead.
With Hardy,
My pen. Have you seen my pen? It was in my pocket before.
Mike Dussault,
Purely sexual. That was my weird science quote.
You know, usual
Sorry.
chips, dips, Chinese whips.
Paul Perillo,
Paul poo-poos everything. The bell is cool. Dang,
I
man.
didn't poo-poo that.
and Tamara Brown.
Well,
Did you read my key? My key is more simple than Mike's. The audacity to come at my key.
well,
Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, presented by Dunkin.
I can't wait. I could actually wait. I mean, if we're going for any kind of, yeah, doesn't it sound weird? It's the same thing that happened last week. Yeah, maybe
There it
that's
is.
a little bit better. All right, good. Okay, now I can't wait. Before I could wait, now I can't wait. We got to get into it. As Bill Belichick said earlier this week, well, Jets week. Wow. It sets the tone. He gets everybody. What?
Jets.
Come on. He doesn't say that about
Jets week.
Dolphins week.
He doesn't.
He doesn't say it about Bills week.
He doesn't. You're right.
Jets week. It's a
special
thing.
week.
Oh,
It's a special week here.
hold on.
I think
This could cause national security implications if I don't take my
that one's okay.
pass
That's not-
off. No,
that's not a correct.
Marine Matt just told me. You think I'm going to tell him no?
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me.
sorry.
I
Talk
think,
amongst yourselves.
I think my favorite part about Bill's press conference this week was when he opens up and he raves about all the team's like players and gets to Zach Wilson and he's like, "Yeah, I thought at quarterback we've seen him before," and that was it.
He didn't
That
even
was my
give him
favorite
a.
part.
He didn't even give him a. He can make all the throws. Usually that's the like. Hey, he can make all the throws.
Well, in fairness, that's what they said about Tua last week too. Like nothing. So
He can make
they're
all the throws.
consistent.
Yep.
I mean, Dietrich Wise, he does nothing special.
Asked him to remove a badge.
Oh no,
Who?
Matt.
What? What did I do?
The process this man took to take that off his neck.
Are you saying I'm being dramatic?
Oh,
You're dramatic.
were you doing like the Paul Rudd Wet Hot American Summer thing? And you know when he's like, cleaning
I
up
will
stuff.
say I do have a story for you guys.
It was a thing.
Hold
I
on.
do-
Hold on.
Story
It's
time.
story time.
Story time.
Good.
When I was doing Rutgers sideline, there was a group of people
Humble
who
Yeah.
there was a group of people who had duplicated like credentials and
To get on the Rutgers sideline?
yes, it was a group of people, and security realized that they were fake passes,
Yeah.
but it was like second half by the time they realized, and then they escorted
They were just
them
like,
off.
forget it. Oh, they let him. Oh, they got him out. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I was a little bit shocked. So I'm like, it's the second game of the year. How did you see the credentials and like make them that fast? It was just a little bit mind blowing.
Hackers,
You know?
Yeah.
Because someone doing a pregame internet radio show had their credential on, and someone took a picture of it, blow it up, and they made a counterfeit.
You're probably
I'm
gonna.
sure.
You're probably gonna have to
That's how
take
it
like an
works.
online class. They're gonna be assigned an online class about security.
Tamara's still wearing hers. How come you don't
It's under
scream
the-
at her and go in
I'm-
there and
It's under the
Because-
table.
punch her in the neck like you did to me?
I'm
I
5'2",
didn't see hers, though.
because I'm 5'2", and people can barely see it. You
You're
can barely
a-
see my face. I can barely sit
You're a
above
tall,
this table.
you're a tall, strapping lad.
She's on a booster.
Hold on a sec. I want to see if her feet are dangling.
They are. I have this chair as
She
high
can't
up as
touch
it can
the
go.
rung.
I have
Oh.
the chair as high up as it can go.
Bless your heart. You're just a little thing.
I'm sorry. This is all I was given. 5'2".
All right, so we got Jets, we got Patriots.
Yeah, we do.
We will get into the horrific, mind-numbing, but in this case, quite applicable conversation of whether or not this is a must-win for the Patriots today. I mean, I can't believe we have to have this conversation, but we kind of do.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll also go behind enemy lines. We got the full Sunday six-pack today. We got our over-unders. But first, we need keys.
Why did you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now, just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Without these keys, the Patriots are destined and doomed to fail.
Here are Hardy, Paul, Mike, and Tamara's keys to the game.
Why did I steal your key to the game also?
Keys to the game are brought to you by Mike, Paul, me, and Tamara. Without these keys, Patriots are destined to lose. They are listening to the keys right now as they tape up and lace up and put the stuff on, getting ready for their football contest down there at MetLife Stadium. All the stuff, right? Now, this is a big announcement, and I should have run this by Matt and Matt first, but This is a thing. Starting next week, I will be presenting a large novelty key to whoever I deem having the best key to the game. And it is a one-man selection committee. It is me.
Wow.
What do you think of that?
Fine
Key
with
of the-
me.
key
Can
of
you
the
give
game?
it to yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you will get to hold the key for the entire week until we do another pregame
I love
show.
it.
Isn't this fun?
It is fun.
Right.
Is it made out of metal? It's a metal
Hijinks.
key?
It is
Crazy hijinks.
It is not in my possession yet.
Oh, okay.
I thought of this, like me just
You've got to
anointing
fabricate it,
the best. Yeah.
Make sure it works.
cut it out of copper. or
Yeah, it's
something.
like a counting cars type of thing. I have to really get into the shop and get the welder's mask on. No, I envision a trip to Party City in my near future and purchasing some kind of a large key. But this is going to be a thing,
I'm looking forward to it.
and I will name
Could
a
it be on a chain maybe? Could we get like a key on a chain so you wear it?
sure, even better.
Get crazy.
Okay,
Why not?
okay,
Look
okay.
good.
So maybe a jacket with a big key on the back. I don't know. We'll figure something out, and I will name a best key today. You will only get your key for like 10 minutes of pregame until we hand the key off.
Maybe we could just hold your car keys for a little
Total
bit.
consciousness.
Something like that.
Right, right. Okay, so let's begin. A lot of it has to do with how you present your key.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this will force engagement amongst the participants of the pregame show. Ready, Mike?
If we have to, I guess.
Your
All
key
right.
to the game is what?
My key to the game. Stop the run, have some fun. Little quote there, but I think
Who are you quoting?
I don't know. One of the Patriots players.
LSU football.
Oh, is that who that says?
Godshaw.
Oh yeah, that's right, Godshaw. That was
LSU
one
football.
of
Stop
his.
the run so we can have some fun.
Yeah, I think today big thing is just containing Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall, and winning the line of scrimmage defensively, and just not letting that aspect of their game get going. Force them into third and longs. I think the way the Patriots lose this game is if they lose the line of scrimmage defensively, and the Jets are able to move the ball. They're able to get in third and shorts. It takes the pressure off of Zach Wilson. So for me, I think the big key, the main part of it is stop that run and get to the late downs, and then you can hopefully force mistakes.
He's really writing notes so he can rate your key.
Well, he's got big
Giving you a
responsibility.
score of 13.6.
Out of what?
That's my business.
That's
Paul?
not fair.
Oh, I'm next.
A lot of pressure.
Unfortunately, my key is extremely similar to Mike's. Mine is no Hall passes. And again, it comes back to stopping the run. You can't let Breece Hall have a big impact on this game, so you cannot allow Hall to pass through the defensive front. You have to make sure that you put this game on Zach Wilson's shoulders. If you do that, he'll give you some opportunities to get some turnovers and help the offense in some short fields. But if Breece Hall is running wild the way he did at times in the opener against Buffalo, you're going to be in a dogfight, and that's a game the Jets are primed to win.
Yep.
No Hall passes.
Style points for that.
Oh,
I like
he's
that.
writing down.
8.2.
Oh, but we
These
don't know. It
ratings
could be
make no
closer to
sense.
1. Could be better. We don't know.
That
yet.
is correct. The lower the score, the better you are.
Oh, so I'm in the lead.
You're in the lead.
Look under.
I will not be getting the key. The only time I'll have the key is when I actually acquire it this week. I can already tell both your keys are going to be better than mine. Don't forget, when playing the Jets, I need 37 points to win my bet. I do think it does speak to with the total on the game is 36.5.
No, I got it.
So I need 37 to win today. And listen, baby needs a new pair of shoes.
All
right.
I've extended myself on this bet today. 20 American dollars. But I do think it does have a real application toward the game today, because everyone has been saying all week long, this is going to be an absolute dogfight. The weather, it's, they're picking the Patriots to win 15-12.
Yeah.
It's going to be 17-10 Jets. It's going to be. When everybody has the same mantra and the same idea, it makes me think it's going to go the other way. And quite frankly, I think the Patriots need to score some points today, regardless of the conditions or what that Jets defense is like. Flip the script on this whole day. Get out there, score some points, and especially for the Patriots, if you do that, I like your chances, because I don't believe in Zach Wilson. But don't buy into this whole Jets defense, conditions, it's going to be a dogfight. Whoever gets to 16 first is going to win this. Don't buy into that crap. Get out there and have yourself 23 points by halftime and see what happens. And then maybe you win this thing going away.
that was a really good key. I think you're below 5 on that one.
Oh, no, I'm 18.4.
It's all up to Tamara. No pressure.
Is it my turn now?
It is.
My key is don't talk about it, be about it. I'm so tired of hearing for the past 2 weeks and all throughout, I feel like everyone's saying, like, we just need to start off fast. We just need to stop turning the ball over. We lost because we turned the ball over. We lost because it's like, okay, but now it's 2 games. You're still doing it. You're still doing things that you were doing last year that were a problem. It's like, when are you going to turn that page from talking about what you need to change to actually doing the work and we actually see the change? You know, I'm over it. I'm tired of hearing it. I don't want to hear it today.
That's a common theme for Tamara. She's over a lot.
I'm over
She's over
it.
things. What is she over?
It's like, how many times
stuff.
do we need to hear, oh, we lost because we made too many mistakes, self-inflicted wounds, ball security. We just need to start faster.
Well,
It's like,
You are correct.
And you know what, Tamara, I would tie that to, I think it was the first time Matthew Slater spoke this summer, and I wrote it down in my little, notes. Put up or shut up time. And,
yes.
It's kind of like getting to that point with, especially with an 0-2 record. This is a Jets team, and I think we've heard it all week, that this is the game the Patriots could still win post-Tom Brady. When you have a backup quarterback, you have a team that's, reeling a little bit, going through some changes. This is the game that they continue to win. At what point do they not win that game? That's when you know that the alarms will really start to sound.
I want to say the number is 25-28 overall since Brady left, 6-0 against the Jets.
Yeah.
So, to your point,
and it's that team.
you
It's
can
a
always
backup
rely
quarterback.
on being able to beat the Jets.
So is it, is that narrative going to continue? And as I've thought about this game over the last couple of days, I want to learn something today. I don't want to come out being like, well, yep, Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions, and it was, we didn't really do anything. They just kind of gave it to us. Like, I don't want that game. I want to see the Patriots actually make some strides and do something today that, makes you feel like they're building something, not just like, well, there was a little bit of weather, and Zach Wilson's terrible, and the Patriots just kind of stole one from him.
I would love to see them, like, come out, like, I'm not saying they have to score on their first drive of the game, but at least in the first quarter, seeing them score a touchdown and then not, give the other team the ball and they score a touchdown off of it, that would be gold today.
I forget what the number was. I mean, maybe you've heard it, Paul, over the last week of, like, the touchdowns that they've scored in the first quarter over the last, like, 3 seasons. I mean, I've heard the number, but it's ridiculous. They don't score, at all.
I tell you what, Tamara, you were looking at third place. You were looking at dead in the face. The fact that Deuce had so much to say about your key ironically screwed him over and put you into. I can't believe we have a tie for second for the first time ever. But Paulie Paul,
First time ever.
How does that happen?
Paulie Paul ends up getting the key to the game.
I loved Paul's key
to the game.
I'm touched.
Hey, congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
You'll get your key next week.
Will you, like, put it over his neck and there'll be, like, a little ceremony
There's
or some
going to be a
sort?
whole thing.
Oh, there'll be a thing.
All right,
I'm
Sheriff
excited.
of roast
I
beef,
love it.
milk of magnesia.
This is giving me Miami turnover chain vibes. Like, when they get a turnover, they, like, go and give the necklace to the kid. That's what this is giving
The
me.
chain is kind of, that's been done a little bit. Maybe it's.
I'm just surprised
key
Mike
change.
wants to do
Maybe
it
it's
because
a-
generally he's against fun. He's anti-fun.
Well, I feel like I
Mike and
might
Fred.
win some of these, so I want to wear a big key
Well, I
around
just
my
feel like
neck.
the pressure is off because I was originally thinking when he set this whole thing up that I'm going to have to start using more than 15 seconds of my time to text back Matt Morrell in the middle of the week when I throw a key together. But now that I've won one, I'll continue to use 15 seconds of my time.
What was Paul's score on this one? What do we get?
8.2.
Ooh,
I love
that's
Paul's.
good.
I'm
That's
just-
good. I mean, we haven't seen those numbers around here in a while.
I'm overwhelmed. Thank you, Hardy.
You're
Thank
welcome.
You. I want
was-
to thank the panel. I want to thank everyone.
I always get the text from Morel when I'm driving. So,
Yeah.
it's like I'm doing the text to drive and I'm trying to be pithy and come up with
Well,
something.
that's, you
and-
talk to text, or you kind of sing-songy? Like, is
oh,
that,
yeah.
no?
I always talk to text. I don't mess around with
And don't forget, when playing the Jets.
Yeah.
I didn't- that's it. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah, pretty much.
Print
Yeah,
it.
If
pretty
Beth sent that to me, it would in one of those voice to text. It would not be any, decipherable in any way.
I don't think we're going to have time for any calls before we go behind enemy lines. So we'll just hold for a moment here, and then we're going to be joined by Zach Rosenblatt from The Athletic, at Zach Blatt, there on the Twitter and or X, if you prefer to call it by its actual name now. Yeah, here we go. Let's do it.
You know the view from New England.
We go behind enemy lines.
But what about the view from the other side?
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Oh, yeah?
I was on with you guys in 2018, Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
And I was told I was the favorite guest of the show.
Nope.
No.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
My God, it's coming right for us!
Joining us now from, I'm going to go ahead and say you're at MetLife Stadium already, Zach. Zach Rosenblatt with The Athletic here as we go behind enemy lines for Patriots Jets today. Am I right? Are you there at MetLife, Zach?
I'm currently driving into the parking lot, so you're almost accurate.
All right, that's close enough. Are you kidding? You could have been in Milwaukee for all I knew, so it was a good guess. Everyone talking about the weather for this game. What does it look like there now? What do you think about for a kickoff?
It's not bad right now. It's a little windy, a little drizzly, but I do wonder if it's going to get worse as the day goes on. But yeah, as of right now, it's not as bad as I expected, I would say.
Zach, just what's been the feeling this week about, I mean, we know what's gone on with Rodgers and Zach Wilson coming back in, and I think, the Patriots all week have seen Zach give them a couple games over the course of his early career. Just what's the feeling going into this game of the Jets going up against the Patriots here after losing, 14 straight?
Yeah, I think they've all tried to downplay it when they've talked to us, but I do think that they're all kind of tired of hearing about this streak every year. Garrett Wilson had some comments on a radio show where he said, basically that he's tired of it, and they brought him and Sauce Gardner in to end, the streak against the Patriots, and Sal is always preaching that in order for the Jets to become what they want to be, they have to win division games. So they need to get over this hump. Like, if they were ever going to beat the Patriots, now is the time. I think, talent-wise, I think the Jets, maybe for the first time in a long time, have more talent than the Patriots do. So it's probably going to come down to Zach Wilson and Mac Jones, but I think they feel pretty good about themselves. It just ultimately comes down to whether this offense can get anything going.
Zach, I feel like the big tweet, I guess, that I've seen across Jets media is Sauce Gardner's quote on the Patriots offense being simple and complex and easy for the quarterback. Do you feel like that's going to be a huge part in this game where kind of just the Jets defense is just really looking at this Patriots offense and is like, we have more playmakers out there that can stop this offense that really doesn't have a lot of speed, and kind of like what everyone's been saying all year about the Patriots. They don't have a wide receiver one.
Yeah, I do think the Jets defense, I do think they feel like they have the advantage here. And Sauce Gardner's point was pretty much that, the Patriots offense isn't complex, but what they do it very well, and they force the defense to not make any mistakes. And the Jets defense made a lot of mistakes last week. They played very poorly against the Cowboys. So I think you're gonna find out pretty early in the game how this defense is going to look, I think.
So, Zach, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the offensive line, which, much like the one here in New England, is struggled, and now you're going to be without Dwayne Brown. I know he struggled a little bit in the early going, but how much of a blow is that to a group that's already having a hard time protecting Zach Wilson?
Yeah, he definitely has been struggling, but I think the biggest blow is that this offensive line didn't even have any continuity in training camp, so they're going to have another new unit. I think they might wind up shuffling things quite a bit today, so it's concerning. The offensive line was the biggest concern all offseason and still is, and especially when you go against that Patriots group with guys like Matthew Judon and Josh Uche, they've had enough. They had a hard time with Micah Parsons last week, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle it this week.
Simply from a win-loss perspective, Patriots fans are looking at this as, a lot of them as a must-win today. The Jets, I think around the league, probably other fans say, after Aaron Rodgers went down, what's the point? Well, the point is you got to win week 1 over Buffalo, and this Jets team probably views this as a winnable game today. So in terms of mood and feeling with the Jets, what do you get from the fan base and the people that cover the team? Are they looking at this as also kind of a must-win situation? Because as dire as the circumstances are after your starter went down, the season's not over. You've got a win under your belt. The Jets have a win under their belt so far, so it's not like all hope is lost.
Yeah, I think it is viewed as a must-win, and I think a lot of people view this as, if the Jets can't win this one, then I think the season could go off the rails pretty quick. I mean, you saw it last year, that 10-3 loss that ended on that special teams touchdown last year kind of broke them, and Zach Wilson kind of fell apart a little bit and lost confidence and all that. So I think there is a sense of, if Zach Wilson can't show something today, if they can't beat the Patriots finally, then maybe they're in for a long season, or maybe Joe Douglas needs to finally go and get a veteran quarterback. So I do think there is a lot on the line here.
What do you expect to see from Hall and Cook today? No, they were real productive week one, didn't really do much last week. Do you think they'll bounce back this week, or they'll at least try to get them going?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is Breece Hall just didn't get the ball enough last week. He only had 4 touches. They are working him on a pitch count as he comes back from ACL. But I think he's going to be a big part of the game plan today. Dalvin Cook will too. He hasn't really shown that he has like the same explosiveness he used to anymore. So I'm curious to see as the season progresses if he improves. But I think the biggest thing I'm looking for is Breece Hall needs to get 10 more touches. When he gets 10 more touches, they don't lose. Like historically, I think they're 4-0. So I think Breece Hall is going to have a heavy workload, and I'm curious to see what he does with it against a good defense.
Zach, you've been surprised that they haven't brought in a veteran quarterback at this point?
Yeah, I am. Even to a smaller degree, even if I don't get why they don't have a third quarterback even on the practice squad. You know, if Zach Wilson gets hurt, then all of a sudden all you have is Tim Boyle, and you don't have any other quarterbacks to know the offense. So that confused me a little bit. I think the biggest thing is they don't want Zach Wilson to be – I think they view his confidence as very delicate, unfortunately. So if they brought in somebody that was a name, then there might be some concern that Zach would take that the wrong way. So I think they've been trying to see how Zach Wilson does for these 2 games last week and this week. And if it goes poorly, then maybe they bring somebody in.
That makes sense. All right, Zach Rosenblatt with The Athletic. We always ask our Behind the Enemy Lines guest to give us a score prediction for the game today. Do you have one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jets 13, Patriots 10.
Yeah, that seems to be a pretty common theme. I mean, and could be Pats 13, Jets 10, Jets 13, Pats 10.
Yeah, low scoring.
Yeah. That's why I'm blowing up the over. Why not? Let's just
Hardy's a contrarian.
Yeah, root for mayhem more than anything. Hey, Zach, thanks for the time. We really appreciate it.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Okay,
thank you, Zach.
There he goes. At Zach Blatt on Twitter from The Athletic. Zach Rosenblatt, who is at MetLife Stadium.
So the thing with the Jets quarterback situation, I do find it interesting, and I think he's kind of like us. Like, we're on the outside, and we're wondering, like, well, I get the idea of not wanting to ruin Zach Wilson's confidence, and I do think that that's important. I think the Patriots did the exact same thing in 2008 with Matt Castle. They were scheduled to actually bring guys in to compete with Castle as the backup. Then Brady got hurt, and they canceled those scheduled meetings because they didn't want Matt Castle looking over his shoulder. But I look at this in a different way. I think the Jets have a chance to be a solid playoff team if they get any kind of representative play from that position. I mean, with Aaron Rodgers, I think they were absolutely a contender in the AFC. Without him, I still think they could be a playoff team if they get good play. And I look at guys like, Case Keenum. Like, you can't give like a conditional 6th-round pick to Houston for Case Keenum. And I would look at it if I were Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas, like, I don't really care if he's looking over his shoulder or not.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, at this point,
the clock's ticking on their jobs.
I have a chance to get to the playoffs, and if I'm Robert Saleh, I'm thinking I might need this to save my job. So I think he's right. I think Zach has this nailed. If this doesn't go well today for Zach Wilson, I don't think they're going to be worried about his confidence and his feelings much more going forward. But I would have a guy in for the exact reason he said, so you can learn the system for a week or two, because you can't just trade for a guy and then play him Sunday.
I mean, what do you think the bar is, Paul? Like, do you think that he has to play well, or is it just he can't throw 4 interceptions?
Well, show
like,
that
you know what I mean?
Well, show that you can win games with him, not in spite of him.
Yeah.
Like, there were times like there was a game last year in Pittsburgh where it was kind of a Jets kind of game. It was all defense, and he kind of caught fire in the fourth quarter through 2 touchdown passes, and they won the game. That's the style of game the Jets are going to have to win. They're not going to win 37-34, right? So there were times last year where he showed you some flashes. He was 5-4 as a starter, and you don't have to remember that 2 of those 4 losses were to the Patriots, who just own him. So, yeah, I don't think he has to go out there and throw for 310 yards and 4 touchdowns to save his job, but show them that it doesn't have to fall apart. You can win with him being a supporting part of the cast.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to, not be a liability tonight. I think he's going to have to come out there and, literally, even if it's him handing the ball off all night long, and Garrett Wilson might be the one with 4 touches today, Who knows? I think
that'd be good.
that might be the
Depends.
only way.
He only had 6 last year, and he had 125 yards on him.
Okay, maybe not that, but I think like if he's just not a liability and doesn't make mistakes and doesn't give the Patriots a game, like that could go in his favor. But obviously, we don't want that for the Patriots standpoint.
Yeah, it was so odd last year. I mean, it's like they're just chucking it all over the place, and they're just setting them up for failure. When they put the reins on them a little bit, it wasn't bad. I mean, it's not a complete abject disaster with, I don't know, coaching.
And it's hard. It's hard to find that because you're looking at it, for better or worse, he came into the league as sort of a playmaker.
Yes.
Kind of a gunslinging playmaker. So if you tame it down too much, you risk losing any ability he has to complete passes because he's just so – like I thought the game here last year, the 10-3 game, was an example of that. He didn't throw – I don't think he had any picks in that game. But they didn't complete any passes either because they just made
9
they made sure that he wasn't going to ruin the game for them. And it worked. I mean, ultimately, it was probably a good strategy. They had an opportunity to win the game. But the game at New York, he did make a lot of plays in that game. He just made a lot of bad plays too. And those ultimately cost them chances to win the game. So I don't know which one is better if you're the Jets. And like if he throws for 300-plus yards and a couple of touchdowns and you score some points and you can't find a way to win because he sets the Patriots offense up on short fields, is that better than, well, we didn't make any mistakes, but we couldn't move the ball all day and we ended up with 3 points and we lost anyway.
Right.
All right, let's get to the phones here, 855-PATS-500, webradio@patriots.com. If you want to send us an email, we begin by going to Cousin Patty in Agawam. What's going on, Pat?
Morning, everybody.
How you doing?
Good. About time we get one of these 1 o'clock games.
Amen. I know.
So I just kind of had a weird thought and a question today. Being as good as this defense is for the New York Jets, I'm going to take a page out of Fred Kirsch's book. I would love to see them blow this team out. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be close. But would you put any stock into if Mac were able to lead a game-winning touchdown drive against this defense? And that's the question.
I'd have to see it.
I mean, I
need more information.
I'll take what I can get,
Yeah, I mean, I think they need a win today. Like, yeah. I know, Mike, you're right. Like, I would rather not see a repeat of the game down there where they won the game because the other team handed them all their points. But they just need a win. Yeah. However it comes, they need a win.
Yep.
I think if you're talking about Paul, you said it. Like, I got to see it because there's too many qualifiers.
Right.
There's too many ways of looking at it and saying yeah, but. Or putting tiny asterisks next to things as to how that actually
shouldn't even have been in that position.
He had a game-winning drive against Houston that included a phantom roughing the passer call in the middle of the drive. It set him up on you know what I mean? Like, there's things that happen. Does he go, like, 7 for 7 with, like, 3, like, really impressive throws under duress and they just, jam it right down the field? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hats off. Absolutely. That's a game-winning drive.
Pat, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
My thought, Ollie. That ladder,
All right.
Not gifting them the game, but like really going out there and taking it.
Yes.
At the end of it.
Yes.
Yep.
Outplaying, outmaneuvering,
and like when you watch you see the differences between those two things.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right, Pat. Thanks for the call, buddy.
Got it.
All right. Patriots pregame show fueled by Dunkin. 855-PATS-500. On to David in New York. Hello, David. What's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Hey.
So I feel like with all 3 of the Jones corners being out, I feel like that puts a lot of pressure on Christian Gonzalez. What should we be expecting from him today? And, what would be considered a disappointing day for him and what would be, I guess, an improvement?
I would just like to see him continue to be competitive in his coverage. I haven't really seen him get badly beaten on plays.
That's the thing.
You're going to give up completions.
Yep. Badly beaten.
Yeah.
And
today you're going to get help from the quarterback too. So.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything like he's going to be following Garrett Wilson or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure he'll be on him a little bit.
Do you think it should be like that? I do.
I don't know. I don't really feel qualified to say.
I just look at it as the other guys to me are like the Patriots receivers. They have NFL receiver, Randall Cobb.
Yeah, but they should be able to. The older guys should be able to stick with them if you put Mills back at corner.
You're banged up at corner. You're missing the 3 Joneses, and The one constant you have is Gonzalez. Put him on Wilson and let everybody else handle everything else.
That'd be a big vote of confidence, or just at least acknowledging like, hey, we think that you can handle this. But I mean, they really haven't taken that approach yet. They've had two teams with equally potent targets that you're kind of rolling the dice with anyway. But
right.
I'll just be curious how do they move Mills back to corner a little bit? I mean, he's barely playing at safety, so I mean, it seems like they could at least get him a little bit of work out there.
He didn't sound that way, did he, last week?
What'd you in the locker room. That's what I was going to ask you guys. What did you guys think of what he said? It sounded like he prefers safety and wasn't really a fan of the idea of him moving back to corner. And then they asked, like, so do you think you'll play corner? And he's like, well, the Patriots wouldn't just, like, simultaneously put me out there. It would be something that we've talked about and previously discussed. Yeah. And obviously, I'm not going to tell you guys if we've already been working on it. But
yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
He definitely didn't seem like a fan of the idea.
He'd choose like 6 snaps at safety rather than like 30 at corner. You know, I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it all plays out.
You're right. Him and Phillips haven't played much on defense.
Nope.
David, thanks for the call.
Thanks.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, and just to put a bow on that, I've been very impressed with Gonzalez. I think he's been really good in the first.
It's hard for me to say though. Like, what do you not want to see? I don't know.
The guy he's covering catching a lot of passes.
Yeah, it's like what would be improvement? I don't even know that I'm necessarily looking for improvement from Gonzalez.
No, just
continued play.
Yeah.
It's again watching it as the feeble-minded soul that I am. I'm most impressed by cornerback play well after the fact when I realized, holy crap, that guy didn't even get any targets today.
Right. Yeah,
and it's look, to anyone's credit, watching the game on TV, it's not an all 22. You can't see downfield coverage. You're watching the line of scrimmage or you're watching the ball, so you don't know how good, corners and safeties are always playing downfield all the time. But to me, what do you not want to see? Yeah, whoever is covering, catch a bunch of passes. That'd be good.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
I would say, I think to Paul's point, the big plays, like getting beat over the top or, missing a tackle and then it goes for a touchdown, those kind of things. But as far as good stuff, I'd like to see more playmaking close to the line of scrimmage. And that's just generally from the Patriots corners where, sometimes it feels like they maybe woulda, shoulda, coulda had jams on guys and it's too available for the quick slants and, those kind of plays. I'd like to see him have the ability to be physical at the line, disrupt timing, and then maybe get a hand on those quick passes that, just always seem to be kind of money in the bank sometimes at certain phases in games against the Patriots where they just kind of go and it's check down, check down, check down. They know the Patriots are trying to take the top off, take the big plays away from the offense. So, those would be a couple things to see from him developmentally.
We will go to Tony in Canada. Tony, thanks for checking in once again on the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin. What's up, Tony?
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Couple of things here real quick. I thought it was funny. The thing about Gonzalez, the exciting thing about Gonzalez is he's just going to get better and better every week. And if this is what he's playing like, if this is his floor, it's exciting to see what his ceiling will be. But in terms of the Patriots, and I want to put you guys on the hot seat if I can, making a prediction if you can, are the Patriots as bad as an 0-2 team? In other words, out of the playoffs, picking in the top 10? Or do we think we're going to learn something today that we don't know, and we're going to show out? A lot of people are picking the Dolphins versus the Eagles, or they say those are two teams that might go to the Super Bowl. So the fact that we lost both games is more an indicament of how good those teams are rather than the Patriots' shortcomings. So where do you guys see us being at the end of the season? Are we really an 0-2 team, or are we going to make a run for the playoffs? And I want to get that from you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. I'm gonna tweak your question a little bit because it's one that got asked a couple of times earlier in the week, and I think it's a fun one. Ranking the 0-2 teams.
Can you give me the list?
Sure.
I'm gonna go Bengals 1.
Yeah.
Bengals, Patriots, Texans, Broncos, Vikings, Bears, Panthers, Cardinals.
Did you say Chargers?
I don't know if I did.
Yeah, I would put the Patriots in the middle of that.
Chargers,
pack.
correct. Sorry.
Yeah.
I would say the Bengals are a clear-cut number 1.
I think they
team.
right now.
After that, I would say if you want to go Patriots, Chargers, Vikings, Vikings, Patriots, I don't care what order, but those they're in that group
similar
behind Cincinnati.
Okay, Cincinnati,
they're ahead of
everybody agrees
Houston.
is the best 0-2 team.
For sure.
Yeah. I have trouble placing the Patriots ahead of the Vikings in the 0-2 team rankings because the Vikings still have a couple of playmakers, guys that can very easily get you wins on a couple of plays, on a couple of circus catches, or a couple of just game-changing, back-breaking, will-breaking drives. And I don't think the Patriots have that. Defensively, they may be as good or in better shape, but in terms of that playmaker, that one guy that you got to think about and cover, Patriots don't have that.
Yeah.
The Vikings do.
Yeah.
So I got to put the Vikings ahead of the Patriots.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that take. I mean, we know what comes with Kirk Cousins, and there's some questions there. But overall, if you're ranking offenses, I would take that one, and not just
you take Kirk Cousins or Mac Jones.
Jordan Addison's been pretty good. I mean, they got some pieces.
Right now, you guys are all making point. I would put the Patriots ahead of the Vikings, but I like I said, you could mix. I would put the Bengals at the top. The Chargers, I think. I think the Chargers are a pretty deceptive 0-2, but they're 0-2.
Yeah.
Be that as it may, they're 0-2.
Bears are bad. Cardinals are bad.
Bears, Cardinals,
Panthers.
Texans, and Panthers to me are well behind the rest of that group.
Yeah, a lot of young teams with young quarterbacks that they just drafted.
Patriots are much further
out.
along the process than those 0-2 teams.
Certainly, you look at Justin Herbert though with the Chargers, and that his talent is still tempting, even as disappointing.
And I just look at the way they lost the 2 games. Like they didn't fall behind by 3 scores in both games.
Yeah,
and I understand where the caller's coming from, and I get it. What do you think they are? Is it more of an indictment on the Patriots? Well, they never led. Like, it would be one thing if you, went toe-to-toe back and forth. The Chargers in Miami went toe-to-toe back and forth in that first game. Miami got the ball last, and they scored, and they took the lead, and they won.
Yep.
The Patriots didn't do that. The Patriots fell way behind,
scrapped
to try to catch up, and couldn't do it. Yeah. I think they should be 0-2. I don't really think...
Yeah,
I think they were probably closer to 0-2 with 2 2-score losses than they are with 2 wins, as close as they were at the end of the game.
Yes, Tamara?
Just saying one of those 0-2 teams is not going to be 0-2 unless it ends in a tie today.
Oh, that's right.
Chargers and Vikings playing each other.
But, you look at those two. Justin Herbert, Kirk Cousins, Mac Jones. Rank them 1, 2, 3. In terms of guys you would want to quarterback your team.
I mean, I'd put Justin Herbert at the top.
I'd put Justin Herbert 1 and then say, I choose not to answer.
I don't know. I mean, I probably would lean Mac just because I feel like there's maybe still a little iota of unknown with him, perhaps. I mean, it's hard to make an impassioned stand for Mac Jones over Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins has had some good pieces, and Kirk Cousins played great against the Patriots last year, and that's kind of a lasting memory I have at this point, rather than his inconsistencies.
What would you do, Paul? Not answer?
I would probably put Cousins 2, but I don't. I'm on record. Everybody, I'm not a huge Kirk Cousins guy.
I don't know that there is a huge Kirk Cousins fan out
there.
Well,
but it is funny that
his wife's pretty
a lot of Mac Jones fans bristle at the notion when people say Mac Jones could be like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
as if that's a terrible thing. And as much as I don't think Kirk Cousins is in that upper echelon, you could do a lot worse than that.
Right.
I think he is a productive quarterback who, like Mike said, he takes advantage of the weapons that he's had, but I just don't think he's ever going to get over the hump and win you games in the playoffs. So that's my sort of
He's that
drawback.
rare thing as a guy. I think teams, if you gave him the truth serum, teams that have had him, they have not only accepted but embraced him as the guy that you can win with, who will not win games for you, and they're willing to give him a ton of money on top of it, whether it's franchise tags or contracts.
That position now. If you have a reasonable level of success, you're going to get paid.
Yeah. How about we go to William in Philadelphia here? Love the calls coming in here.
I was going to say, I love 1:00 games. This is awesome. Interaction.
I know. Love it. 855-PATS-500. William, you're up next. What do you got for us?
All right. How y'all doing? How's everybody?
Excellent.
Good,
thank you.
Okay. This is going to kill me as a Patriots fan.
Uh-oh.
I got the Jets upsetting the Patriots 13-10 because of bad offensive line, receivers running the wrong route. Hopefully Mac does not throw an interception, but it just don't look good. If you told me after 2019 that the Patriots was going to be looking like this, I would think you would be lying. And that's all I have. I got to leave it at that.
Okay.
Take care, y'all.
I appreciate it. Thanks, William.
Yeah, William's not in a good way, Hardy.
Yeah.
He calls every day, and that's basically the tenor of every call. Is very downcast.
I'm sorry you feel that way, William. Well, here's some good
Turn
news.
that frown upside down.
There's going to be a lot more points scored today than everybody thinks. There will be more than 23 points scored today.
Total?
Yeah. He's 13-10. He's the second 13-10 prediction we've gotten today.
Yeah, my prediction is more than 23 points too.
Yeah. All right.
Just not as many as yours.
You'll be all right. Well,
that'd be tough to swallow. I mean, even I don't know what the weather's like, but like if they only get 10 points on the board today, and I have respect for the Jets defense, but that'd be a tough pill to swallow.
I think for me the only way that could end up happening is if the Patriots cannot get the run game going. So say if the weather is so bad that they can't throw it and they have forced to stay on the ground. If the Patriots can't figure out this run game situation, that could be bad.
Or if they just can't get it going,
Yeah.
regardless of the weather.
I mean, they scored 17 last week against a much less defense at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Floyd is in Michigan now on the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin. Hello, Floyd.
Good morning, everybody.
You know what they did to me
morning,
once
Floyd.
in Michigan at a Dunkin' in Michigan, Floyd?
Is this illegal?
What?
Is this illegal?
No. What? No. They thought that because I'm from Michigan and I know they're good people, nice people in Michigan, right? They thought they would do me a favor by this is when I used to take sugar in my iced coffee. They put the sugar in, they poured a little hot coffee in there to dissolve it, and then put the ice and the rest of the coffee. And I'm like, no, I want the crunch. But it was too late. All right, go ahead, Floyd.
Hardo. At the crunch.
So I have a comment and a question. The question is primarily for Hardy and Tamara because Mike and Paul already answered it. But my comment is,
All right.
is I don't feel good about today or the next two road games.
Okay.
And I'm actually okay with us having a bad season, going 5-12, 6-11. I'm okay with it if we can get rid of Bill Belichick and Mac Jones.
Oh, whoa.
My question is, and I'm serious about this too.
No, I can tell.
My question is, it was a really interesting question that came up on Patriots Unfiltered. And it was basically if the Patriots went 6-11, which is realistic to me, would you rather draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and pair him with Mac? Or would you rather have Caleb Williams and pair him with nobody? So Mike and Evan answered they would rather have Marvin Harrison Jr. pair him with Mac. Paul, my honorary Earth, Wind, and Fire brother, said he would take Caleb Williams.
Okay.
It's a no-brainer to me. You take Caleb Williams, that bad man, that bad brother. A franchise quarterback is the most important position in all the sport. So that's the question, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Hardy.
Okay.
Which would you rather have?
I want Caleb, but I also want to caution you against rooting for the removal of your head coach because regardless of who you bring in here, history shows you first year under a new head coach, that's bad. If you're willing to concede a 5-12 season or a 6-11 season, get ready for another one. And I don't care who you've got in here playing quarterback. Head coach comes in, what do you think? You make the playoffs with a new head coach? It goes the other way.
David did it.
Hardy, but where are we going?
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm okay.
That's what.
with
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm not saying that this is something that you should change your mind about. I think what you should be doing is rooting for Bill Belichick to have a better season than 6-11 and not be okay with it. I still find it hard to believe, even after an 0-2 start, that this team is going to be 6-11. I just don't believe it. I think they've got.
Hardy,
go ahead.
Where are we going? We've had, but the problem is, where are we going? If you saw some progress, that'd be one thing. But it looks like the same old, same old. And to be honest, isn't it possible that Bill Belichick has lost the locker room? Nobody's talking enough about that bad decision that he made with Matt Patricia. I think Fred's right. I think there's something lingering going on. Hardy, it's the same old, same old.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years. How many more years do you want to do this?
Well, ideally for enough to where there's a smoother transition and Bill can step down without having to go through the process of his removal, because that's going to create more turmoil. If you're worried about the locker room, that's going to be that's going to be an uneasy situation. But Tamara, I want you to get a chance to answer on the first part.
I would say
Thank you for taking my calls.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Floyd.
Thanks, Floyd.
If the Patriots go 6-11, I would definitely have to say I would be okay with both going.
Yep.
And I would pick the Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Just because even if they do have a new head coach, I feel like the ceiling is so high for Caleb Williams, and I feel like for Mac Jones, we've kind of seen the writing on the wall. And to Paul's point, like his comparison to Kirk Cousins, that's not what we want here. Like in the long term for your quarterback of the future, like that's not what we want. We don't want a Kirk Cousins that can win you those games and kind of just be mediocre and get you there. We want
I tell you,
to get back to the Super Bowl, you're not going to get there with Kirk Cousins. You're not going to get there with Mac Jones.
I'm not even thinking about the Super Bowl. I'm not even thinking about AFC championships. I'm thinking about a bunch of 8-9 and 9-8 seasons.
Nobody wants that. That's boring.
If you're going to have that, and it is boring, but that is normal. That is what happens in the NFL in most cities and most markets. And I know you think it's different here, but it is, yes, it is different here because Tom Brady isn't here anymore. So everything is different and everything has changed. So if you're going to have 8-9 and 9-8 seasons, do it with a quarterback where the wins are spectacular and it gives you passion for the game and something to invest yourself in. It's kind of like that Lions mentality. It's like they're crazy on fire for that team, and they're probably going to be 8-9 or 9-8. But the wins are spectacular, and they're thrilling, and it's dramatic. It's not never having a lead and not looking good, and then grinding out wins against, hopefully today against the Jets, and maybe getting a win against the Saints and stuff like that. That's like treading water 9-8.
That's what you're going to get with Mac Jones. Like, you're not going to have any spectacular wins with him unless you do what the 49ers have done and surround Mr. Irrelevant with so much talent. And with Bill Belichick, he's never going to do that. He's never going to do that. When you look at Brock Purdy, he played absolutely horrible, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Do you see what's around him? It doesn't matter.
Totally screwed up the drafting of a quarterback just 2 years ago, and it still has not hurt them. No. It's unbelievable. How can teams do that? How can these other teams
it is so fun to
figure
watch
that out?
Because they hit on draft picks.
Yeah.
Like guys like Fred Warner, who is a day 2, day 3 pick. I mean that's it. I mean I don't want to oversimplify it, but
it's draft.
And they pay the guys that are worth it. Like, obviously, they did have some issues with Deebo Samuel and getting that contract situated, but they got it done. Yeah. And they went after Christian McCaffrey, and now look at their offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet,
and you could put Mac Jones in that offense, and it's still going to look like that.
And it's been a process, though. Trent Williams, they every year they seem to add a superstar to their offense. And, it's if N'Keal Harry had worked out, if Isaiah Wynn had worked out. I mean, these are positions that are huge problems right now that they missed on first-round picks with. If they hit with first-round picks on those guys, then right now those guys would be the stars. And Tamara's point, that we'd be talking about, all right, how are we going to retain Isaiah Wynn? How are we going to retain N'Keal Harry? Those kind of things. Just another quick point just about Floyd. I thought it was interesting this week. I mean, Tamara and I were in the locker room. Juju spoke one day talking about frustration. We put in so much work here. Yeah. And I wonder, you can say a lot about the Patriots and, how they run the team here, things like that. But I don't think anyone would really question that these guys really work hard here. And the expectations here of the amount of work that they have to put in during the game week is extremely high, even by NFL standards. And from what Juju said, you just wonder at what point, if the success doesn't start to happen, is this frustration going to boil over? Because I do feel that these guys are putting in a ton of work, and I do feel that they're dedicated to trying to get a win. But at a certain point, when you haven't really had a lot of success in previous years, you keep running into the wall over and over and over again. It's just that's why I think there's so many eyes on this Jets game today, as you've got to win this, because not just about being 0-3, but it's about having something to show for all the work that you've been putting in for a bunch of months. And I wonder what things would be like in the locker room last week. And I'd say Mills kind of too said things along the lines of we worked so hard here, we've got to get over the hump here. So we'll see today. I'd love to see it come in a rewarding fashion that makes you say, hey, it's not just we squeaked out a win against, and the Jets are good. They're a divisional opponent. There's been plenty of games, even when Brady and everybody was at their prime, that they, knocked off a tough battle against the Jets team that wasn't even going to the playoffs. But it's all on the table right now today. It's a huge game.
By the way, my daughter is convinced she saw Juju Smith-Schuster at the Canton-Dedham football game on Friday night.
Really?
Now, never mind the fact that my daughter could have Juju Smith-Schuster, Bill Belichick, and probably Tom Brady walk into the room and not really be sure who's who. Like, oh, I think I kind of know.
Dad.
No offense, though, but
she's not
Juju?
Yeah, she's not really into sports.
Juju has a very distinct look, I feel like.
It's
whereas
only
Bill
because
Belichick,
her friends told her he was there, and it was like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why would he be at a high school football game in Dedham?
Something to do.
He
Think
just
so?
loves the game.
He
Loves the
just-
game.
Yeah, wants to
We
watch.
have inactives. Nothing too surprising. Maybe one, but Jonathan Jones, we knew that one already. City So knew that one. Tyrone Wheatley, backup tackle. Keyshawn Booty will not be playing today. And there was no elevation this week for what's his face, Jalen Rager. Jeez. So probably a sign that Parker fully healthy. Felt like last week they elevated Rager just in case he wasn't ready to go. And Will Greer is listed here as an active but third quarterback. So I don't. We haven't seen that before. I wonder if he still might dress and he's the third at quarterback, but he can't play unless the other two guys get hurt. So decent health. We'll see. I'm curious what happens on right tackle today.
I'm like so curious to know if we'll ever see Booty active again, just because of.
I think it's a depth issue now. I mean, I don't think this is as much of like a reflection of you didn't get both feet down as it is Parker's healthy now. Like, in that first week, Parker wasn't healthy, and they didn't really feel comfortable with Rieger, and they didn't really have a speed guy outside because Thornton's hurt. So I think that's why all of a sudden you just saw Keyshawn Booty as a rookie playing a bunch of outside reps like that. But I think that was more just an injury issue, and I don't think this is a huge reflection on him. I think he's still a positive, but it's going to probably take an injury now to Bourne or somebody else to get him in the lineup.
I mean, if we are going down that road, we're never going to see him again. Can I ask one more time? Speaking of Booty, why did the alligator cross the road?
Okay. No.
Oh, I don't know why.
Because he wanted to be by you.
Bodie.
Cajun cooking.
Okay, we are no longer allowed to bring up Keyshawn's name on this show.
I'm
because
a
then we're gonna
child.
have to
I would
do this.
appreciate it because I can't. I snicker.
So, Hardy,
The only thing that's that's funnier than a joke is a joke that gets told way too many times. That's I mean
Facepalm.
I just enjoy your accent. Your delivery does it each time for me. It gets me a little bit.
It's definitely giving Brian Kelly. Every time you do it, it's like just Brian Kelly.
Ew, fire him away.
Every time. Every time.
I met this man named Bubba.
There's all kinds
So
of
I have a
shrimp.
question for you, Hardy, because you haven't been on the show with us during the week. But speaking of rookies, do you think the Patriots are able to withhold playing Demario Douglas because of what happened last week, or do you think you have to play him in a game like this today?
Okay. No, they don't have to. They should. They should have continued to play him last week. I mean, this is a question of could versus should. Of course they could, and of course they should. I mean, how did
Could
that
you see
help?
them sitting him 4 games like they did Ramondre? Like Ramondre talked about that. Like they sat me 4 games after I fumbled.
Yeah. I mean, I could absolutely see it. And I could see this as, kind of the, the cutting off the nose to spite the face method that Belichick has done a lot over the years, whether it's not playing Welker against the Jets, coincidentally, in the playoff game, or sitting Malcolm Butler for still unknown reasons in a game where you desperately needed the guy who had played virtually every single snap as your best corner in the Super Bowl. We don't know why. We won't be told why. In this case, we can kind of figure it out on our own. Okay, he coughed up the ball. Okay, fine. How does sitting him the rest of that game, or maybe sitting him today, make him better? I understand you're trying to, it does make a point, but does it fix the problem? Is there a problem to begin with, or was there just a great play made on the ball by a really highly paid defensive player, a very highly skilled defensive player? And by the way, that's football. It happens. Sometimes balls come out when they're not supposed to. So how do you blame him for that, and how does this make him better?
I mean,
does it?
I don't want to get crazy because I know that this was like such a narrative. I just don't get why they were having him return punts then. If you're that much like benching him, like it's more scary to return punts, ball security wise than it. So I don't want to get in the way of like, the narrative that he got benched and everyone's outraged at it, and that's
So
probably
you're saying maybe he wasn't benched, maybe it was a packages thing, maybe
I don't know.
it was.
I don't know, but why would they keep? I mean, if you really got to sit him down and teach him a lesson, are you still going to let him go out there and return punts? Like, and you're worried about his ball security? Like, it just doesn't. I'm not trying to tell you that no, they're right. It was because it didn't make sense, and he's one of your best players. And if it was packaged, then it's stupid. But I can't really round that completely. That
it doesn't make
if you really want to, you got Jabril Peppers' return punts, you got Kyle Duggar that's return punts, you got Miles Bryant that's return punts. All those guys were available to do it. Yet you're so worried about his ball security and sending a lesson, but you're still like, no, go out there and return punts. That'll be okay.
You know what?
I don't get it.
That is part of the process, though. Welker in the game where he was benched on the first drive or whatever, I believe he was out there on the kickoff. And I believe Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl did have one or two special teams reps.
Yeah, he did.
So maybe that's part of the narrative.
Yeah, you don't get to play offense.
You don't get to go in there.
That's the fun one.
Well, or in Malcolm Butler's case, when we really need you and it's important, you don't get to play when it's important. You get to play on these, even though it's Bill Belichick's will be the whole special teams thing. We all know it's not enough plays for them to be that important.
It's just the bottom line. They need him. They need what he brings to the offense. It's what's missing. I mean, everybody sees it. We saw it from early days in training camp that this kid has some special change of direction ability and some speed and some burst. The more that they can get him involved, the better. And I mean, if they go today and he's not really playing at all, I'm going to be pretty bummed out about it. But the fact that Rieger wasn't elevated, Booty's inactive, I think he's going to play. I don't think it'll be a huge shift. He's going to be back like as a third, fourth slot receiver.
Tamara, you bring up whether or not we're going to see Booty again. I'm wondering if we're getting to the point where
that's not what I said. You just wanted to say his name again.
No. Well, no.
I said Demario Douglas.
Oh,
you just wanted to say Booty's name again.
Yeah.
Who said?
Oh, no, you said that. No, you said. Well, you just said you thought Booty might because of his
when he was inactive. But like, are we getting to the point where we're not
dragging things?
Yeah. How about Bailey Zappi, another quarterback being brought in? Like, how much do they really not believe in Bailey Zappi at this point?
Yeah, I mean, that was a signal when they cut him for sure. And they do need a third quarterback though too. So as much as it's like a reflection on Zappi and how they feel, and certainly, but it's like you don't even have a third guy on the roster.
You need a third quarterback like you need flood insurance in a house where they say you need it and there's never been a flood in 100 years. It's like, okay, you got to have one. It's not important.
No.
It's not. I mean, it is not vital to the success of your season. So, I mean, it just seems like they're not thrilled with Bailey Zappi.
No. I don't think so. And I think all these guys that they're kind of bringing in, I mean, Corral was a little bit outside of that because he does have a little bit of, athleticism. But I mean, anybody who's like a nerd like me and Evan and, everybody that does big boards and, like everybody loved Will Greer because it's like, oh, like a guy who's kind of maybe limited athletically, but he's smart. He gets the ball out quick. He's a pocket passer. It's screaming Patriots to you. So, I mean, I'd also just say generally I think the more quarterbacks you can get in here that you can check out, that you can, try to beat the bushes for, so to speak. I know I'm okay with Mac for right now, and I think he's done enough to stay in the starting position. But I just think that's a position you always should be looking, always trying to turn it over and see what you can find. It's like the Brock Purdy's of the world. You never know. I mean, it's not common. You can't rely on the 199th pick in the draft being the best player of all time, but you can at least take those chances and try to see what you can find at those important positions: quarterback, receiver. No problem ever bringing those guys in.
What was going on with the practice squad, on the practice squad, off the practice squad? They had signed him on Monday.
Weird.
How
Corral? I don't know.
And then they're like, he's in for a visit. I was like, what?
Well, I think that was like an official paperwork designation to explain why he was in the building. They had to say that.
Yeah.
But it was Marla Hooch in the batter's box. And it was like, in, out. I don't know. Does he want to play? Is it a question of his
I don't
willingness
know.
to be on the practice squad? Are there any answers from you guys? Are the ultimate Patriots insiders?
Don't have it.
Yeah. Don't know. Which leads me to believe that it's probably somewhat of a unique situation with whatever might be going on with him. So, like you said, third quarterback. We'll see how it all.
Are we taking a break? We are taking a break. How about that?
Why would we do that?
Paul, how was the chin wag on the Sports Hub?
It was interesting. We talked a little bit about Booty's deactivation, and if we thought that meant good for Douglas to maybe be back, back in as a part of the offense. So we'll see.
Speaking of booty, do you know why the alligator crossed the road, Paul? Hey, kick off your week with free coffee Mondays. Every Monday from now until October 30th, Dunkin' Rewards members can get a free medium, hot, or iced coffee with purchase. Nothing beats Dunkin' Rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Limit 1 per member per Monday. Exclusions, additional charges, and terms may apply. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
TouchView Interactive from the Yokers Company offers New England's leading schools and businesses technologically advanced and easy-to-use interactive displays, providing enhanced collaboration and improved student outcomes in the classroom, and an easy way to foster communication and teamwork in any business environment. Available in multiple sizes, TouchView also offers a built-in VC, allowing for easy use through video conference systems. For more information, visit okers.com.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Dunkin' Rewards members, score big. Get a free medium hot or iced coffee every Monday all month long with purchase. Not a member? Join on the app right now. America runs on Dunkin'.
This is the Gillette Labs with exfoliating bar. The bar and the handle removes unseen dirt and debris ahead of the blades for effortless shaving in one efficient stroke.
Man, I wish I was out there. Let's unretire. Why not?
Dan Marino? You're right. 22.
I'm good right here, bro.
Should we? Don't even think about it.
TouchView Interactive.
Get in on the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want on your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no.
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
TouchView Interactive from the Yokers Company offers New England's leading schools and businesses technologically advanced and easy-to-use interactive displays, providing enhanced collaboration and improved student outcomes in the classroom, and an easy way to foster communication and teamwork in any business environment. Available in multiple sizes, TouchView also offers a built-in VC, allowing for easy use through video conference systems. For more information, visit okers.com.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Dunkin' Rewards members, score big. Get a free medium hot or iced coffee every Monday all month long with purchase. Not a member? Join on the app right now. America runs on Dunkin'.
This is the Gillette Labs with exfoliating bar. The bar and the handle removes unseen dirt and debris ahead of the blades for effortless shaving in one efficient stroke.
Man, I wish I was out there. Let's unretire. Why not?
Dan Marino? You're right. 22.
I'm good right
Should we?
Don't even think about it.
TouchView Interactive from the Yokers Company
Get in on
offers
the
new.
action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like my plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get my plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want on your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get my plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Why did the alligator cross the road? Because he wanted to be by you, Tamara, but also like down on the bayou. You understand the joke?
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Patriots Pregame Show. It's fueled by Dunkin. Lots of phone calls to get to. I imagine some electronic mails. Yeah, we'll get to those too. I see them here. Thank you, Matt LePan, sending those along to me. So we'll go to first. Dustin in Ontario. Dustin, thanks for checking in. What do you got for us? Dustin! Oh, Dustin. That's my bad.
Hey, folks, can you hear me?
There we go. Now we got you.
There you go. You were all sort of muffled there. I didn't think I got connected properly. Alrighty.
Well, it's an international call, so.
Yeah, okay. So, in terms of weather, are we still looking at that tropical cyclone thing going on over in New York still?
Doesn't look too bad.
How's it looking?
It doesn't look too bad, but I don't, I'm still seeming like we're getting like conflicting reports.
Okay.
Put it this way: if it was crazy, you would know it right now. I feel like some people it might be a little windy for some people, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be
And
Buffalo
Dustin,
2021.
About a half hour ago, we had our Behind the Enemy Lines guest on, and Zach said it's not as bad as he was envisioning, like coming to the stadium. So, I mean, it's raining a little bit, and I think there's some winds, but I don't think it's wind to the point where it's going to affect
can't
the
throw the
game
ball.
plan. Yeah.
Okay, so it won't really wreak havoc on the passing game then, hopefully. All right.
Unless the conditions worsen significantly, I would say that would be accurate.
All righty then. So I just got a quick take and sort of a question to go along with it, and then I'll take it off the air. So to sort of piggyback off of, pardon me if I get the name wrong, I think it was Lloyd's call, the last call.
Okay.
Floyd.
Yeah. Floyd in Michigan, yeah.
Pardon me, Floyd. Sorry, Floyd. So I think personally, Bill is at the very least in the process of losing the locker room. That's just what I think. If you're Robert Kraft watching these games, you're seeing more or less the same results as we did last year, and you brought in some new pieces on the offense, new offensive coordinator, a new tight end, new receivers, but you're still seeing the offense struggle to this extent. You sort of have to look at like the only consistent factor here is Bill Belichick, and I not that he's heavily involved in the offense, but he is a consistent factor here, and I'm just sort of wondering if you're Robert Kraft and we end up going, let's say, sub 500 and just barely missing the playoffs again, how many more years are you willing to watch this before you rip off the Band-Aid? And okay, maybe bringing in a new head coach or a new GM isn't going to help things. Maybe we will just look at the same result again next time after we do bring in a new head coach and or a new GM, but at least it'll be something different.
Well,
at least it'll show that he's willing to try something. Like, it didn't Robert Kraft even go on record saying that I'm not willing to continue with this mediocrity? This isn't what I want to see. Did he not say something like that in the off season?
He said a couple of things, but he's okay. Dustin,
if you're Robert Kraft, how many more seasons do you think you're willing to put up with this?
Okay.
And once again, I'll take it off the air. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I totally appreciate the question, and I totally get the line of thought. It's hard to answer those questions without seeing how it unfolds.
Yes.
Because not every record is created the same way.
Right.
Now, if he's right and he's lost the locker room, we got to have conversations about it.
If there's more like strange, and again, the Demario Douglas thing seems like a small thing right now, but if there are more questionable coaching moves, if you couple that with, the week one decision to go for it on fourth down as opposed to getting a field goal there in the fourth, things like that. If there are coaching moves, coaching decisions, the way the team is managed that you can couple with the poor record, and you can look at the record and say a lot of that has to do with both general manager and coaching decisions, then at some point you will have to make that move. I will say that Robert Kraft has moved the goalpost a couple of times now.
Yes.
It has gone from winning a playoff game to making the playoffs. That was in a matter of months, because realistic expectations are a big part of ownership in this league, I would think. You can't go, losing your mind and blowing up your front office and blowing up your coaching staff just because you don't make a conference championship every year. That seems to be the bar that a lot of Patriots fans have. Tamara's not here to defend herself, but, I was getting a little bit of that hit off of her earlier. It's like, you got to make it back to the Super Bowl. You got to do that. And I said, you're thinking about this like you used to think about it 10 years ago or 5 years ago. You can't think like that anymore. You are now another team in the NFL that has to fight their way into the playoffs and hopefully get a playoff win. That's what the NFL truly is. There are a couple of teams out there right now that can pencil their way, past the wild card round. A couple. And that's it.
Right. I totally agree. The league is very, very flat.
Yeah. And what you're dealing with now is what most teams have had to deal with for decades. The idea of doing enough to make the playoffs and hopefully getting a win. And if you're setting the bar at, making the AFC Championship game every year again, you got to let that go. That's all gone. That's done with.
It's interesting to me, too, because I think you could take teams that have similar records to the Patriots the last couple seasons, like, the Chargers, the Lions a little bit, but teams that have a different feel about them. Like the Patriots, it feels like, they're kind of one of those teams that's just outside the playoffs. They've been, one of those 500 teams, but there's not a lot of optimism for where it's going. It feels like in more ways we're there, but we're kind of holding on by our fingernails there, whereas teams like the Lions, right or wrong, there's a little buzz and there's a feeling that building something. I don't think anybody at this point would really say it feels like the Patriots are building something. It feels like the Patriots are still trying to find some pieces to build with.
Yep.
And that's the hope, is can we get to a place where we're building something? And that's why it's hard for me to say, a call like that after two games against, like, let's admit it, two very good teams.
Two good teams. And
two very good teams. And,
that's part of it.
And it's the start of the season, too, which, even if they weren't great teams, I think sometimes you've seen crazy results in the first couple weeks of the season that aren't really indicative of what kind of team you have. So you have to wait. I just think we keep going back to Paul's thing with the 94 Patriots, where that team, it felt like you're building something. It felt like you have pieces. It felt like, hey, we're excited to get back to next year. And I think, another part of it is I think a lot of people are looking at the result right now, and they're saying it doesn't feel like we're building something right now when we added, Bill O'Brien and some pieces off. It feels a lot like it did. But it's too early to overreact, but I understand why people feel that way. And I think you got to come out of this season feeling like we're building something more than you have the last couple of seasons. Because even in 2021, you came out of that season, it didn't end great. And certainly
but you make the playoffs with a rookie quarterback.
You made the playoffs, a rookie quarterback. There's a lot of good feeling about Mac. And And just to tie it to one of Paul's shows, I guess they're your shows too, Hardy.
He's actually on.
Felger and Maz were playing
I'm not sure.
a clip from Phil Perry. I don't know if you heard this, Paul, late last week. I think it was Friday near the end of the show. Felger and Maz were playing a clip from Phil. I think he spoke on Thursday night, maybe on one of those late night shows, but just saying the lack of urgency, just generally around the franchise the last couple of years when, you do, like regardless how you feel about Bill, like he's certainly closer to the end, than he is the beginning at this point. So, where is that sense of urgency? And it was a good point by Phil. I haven't quite seen it framed that way.
Okay. Can I just say, though, and I didn't hear exactly what Phil said, and he may have even mentioned this when he was on with us last week, and I missed it then. I would say, where's the lack of urgency when Tom Brady was still here? Tom Brady needs a real dedicated number one wide receiver. He needs weapons. That's what Brady wanted. There was no urgency when you had Brady.
Go ahead. I was just going to push back a little bit on and say, they did Antonio Brown, Mohamed Sanu. I mean, I'm not saying it was perfect, but that singles to me like, hey, we're willing to take a chance because we know Tom Brady. 2019, I get your point generally, but there's not even that
Antonio
anymore.
Brown, Mohamed Sanu are not surefire. You bring this guy in, you're going to be better.
Well, here's the thing. Like, without getting into...
What are you doing?
Without getting into that
at the time you thought they would be, and you
no,
thought Antonio Brown was going to be a superstar that put you over the top.
A lot of people panned the Sanu move when they made it. Antonio Brown, no one knew he was going to be off the roster the following week except for me.
I did.
Right.
But a second round,
because that's what he was.
Yeah.
The Sanu trade I hated. I absolutely hated.
Rightly so.
But
second round pick.
To Mike's point, like I understand, what Mike is saying, that there have been, they draft a wide receiver in the first round, didn't work. They go out and get Antonio Brown. They trade from, they didn't work. But to your point about they haven't always shown the urgency, I would largely agree with that. And they continue to operate the team the same way because Bill thinks that's the way you do it, not recognize that it worked because you had the greatest player who ever played. So when you made missteps and not showing enough urgency, it didn't matter. It ultimately came down to we didn't show any urgency in 2006 with our wide receiver situation. And then ultimately we lost on the last play of the game in the AFC Championship game. And Bill would sit there and say, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, why were they in the AFC Championship game in 2006? I'm going to tell you one reason and one reason only. Tom Brady. Like, the defense wasn't very good that year. The offense didn't have any weapons. There was Riche Caldwell, who, I'm sorry, like, Brady would kill for what they have now compared to the receiver core on that team.
I'm not saying Phil's wrong. I'm saying I would just add to it, hey, Phil, when has it ever been there? And the closest one I can maybe give you
07
is
14.
The acquisition of the two tight ends 3 years ago when they picked up Hunter Henry and
Jonnu Smith.
Thank you. Yeah, because that was such a
surefire,
like slam dunk.
No,
but that was a big deal.
They did. They made a lot. They made a lot of moves in 21, and ultimately the majority of those either didn't pan out at all, like Aguilar and Jonnu Smith, or have just been right, like Jalen Mills. No problem with Jalen Mills.
I mean, Hunter
Henry
good.
hit. Matthew Judon hit.
Godshaw. Probably hitting their eyes more than ours.
Exactly.
Antonio Brown.
Because I still think that they look at
you didn't think that was a big, like that was kind of a bold move?
It was dumb.
I didn't think it was bold. I thought they were one of the only teams in the league that could sign him.
There's a difference between urgent and desperate. That was like a desperation move that it wasn't Matt Patricia where everyone said this isn't going to work. But there are a lot of people like me and Paul who said, this isn't going to work. He doesn't want to play football. He's supremely talented, but he's ill.
Plus, it was all the other things he had already done.
Yeah, I mean, he's
he's
not going to be around. He's not going to be.
Fred makes fun of me for that because I just don't want those guys on my team.
Oh, no. I know, but I've had to reconcile myself with that when just a lot of things in life, people are going to, personally not meet up to your high standards.
And it's not about that.
Do you want to watch? Do you want to be entertained? Do you want to root for a team? Then you have to just let it go.
Correct. And when I say that, that guy was repeatedly doing things, especially to women, that I just don't think you necessarily want to be a part of.
Right.
And I'm not telling you that every single guy who's been arrested, I can't have them. No, like it's Hardy's thing is 1,000% true. You got to sort of reconcile that some of these guys are, flawed. Some of them kids, they're young kids. They make mistakes like we all did. So I don't want every guy who's ever had a misstep to never be allowed to play. I just think you can draw the line with a guy like Antonio Brown.
Or guys, guys
Stephon
like Tyreek Hill, which unless somebody said something like racial or truly, you know,
Yes.
out of bounds, I would say good for you, Patriots fans, for giving that guy the business all game long. Bad guy, don't want him.
Yeah,
you don't want Tyreek Hill.
Couldn't say that in
Don't
church.
want him on my team. That's a
By the way,
bad guy.
did you hear Paul's take this week? Paul had a great take about the Tyreek Hill thing with you wouldn't say that in church. Well,
I figured this was kind of a Hardyism that you would.
Yeah.
You would. So, did you hear that quote? He was like, "Yo, they were saying things I wouldn't say in church."
Yeah.
Of course you wouldn't say it in church.
Of course you wouldn't say it in church. Aren't you on your best behavior in church? I mean, like, you
like
wouldn't use the
in the
Lord's,
locker room,
You wouldn't
you know?
use the Lord's name in vain, especially in church, right?
No,
like, wouldn't your language be curtailed even greater when you're actually in church?
I think
it made no sense.
I think you heard that phrase like as a child somewhere. I know what he was trying to say. They were saying bad words, words that you can't say in church.
Right.
It's
But
like,
he was like,
and that's
I wouldn't even say them in church.
That's probably how
things
that
I wouldn't even say in church.
Things
Yeah.
you should have said things you shouldn't say in church.
And you know, that's probably what that criminal meant to say is something like the lines. They were saying things that let's put it this way: you can't get away with saying those things in church. Okay.
Well,
They were
I
bad
would have been
things.
more like, you know, those are things I wouldn't say when I'm hanging out with my boys.
Yeah.
You know, like when obviously you'd say anything because no one's paying attention.
Right.
In church,
Right.
I don't know.
You really don't say much in church. You kind of repeat. You say, you know, the Our Father.
Amen.
Like, I mean, there's not a lot of talking in church anyway.
Would you, Tyreek? Would you say it while you were dope slapping that dock worker in Miami 3 months ago that somehow magically disappeared? And that's like out of all his infractions, that's like the other ones are unmentionable.
Yeah,
and
like
I know
he
they're
supposedly was
allegations.
abusive to a child, right?
Broke his own son's arm, a 3-year-old. The guy doesn't belong anywhere near polite society, much less being elevated and celebrated. I mean, you're talking about the worst of the worst. Threatened his girlfriend or his wife at the time, I'm not sure, and said like, yeah, I did that, and you should be afraid of me.
You should be.
He should be, and you should be too. This is the guy that you're going to take morality lessons from? No, Patriots fans, don't buy into it. If you said something racial, absolutely not. Nobody's on board with that. Anything else, fair game. Let that guy hear it every time he comes anywhere near you.
Even things that you wouldn't say in church.
Gabriel in Delaware. What's up, Gabriel?
Hi, guys. I just got 2 questions for y'all. My first question is, do you guys think that the Patriots lack star power? And my second question would be, do you think the fans hold the team to too high of a standard?
I'm going to say yes to both.
Yeah. I'm going to say yes to both also. And you can't blame the fans. They were given greatness for 2 decades. And we were talking about this the other day. Somebody who called in and said, you know, if you call yourself a Patriots fan and you don't know Tom Tupa and you can't name your favorite Steve Grogan play and all this stuff, you can't call yourselves a fan. I'm like, hold up.
What if you weren't alive?
So you're not old enough to know Steve Grogan?
If you're not older than 40, you're not a Patriots fan.
I'm like a 30-year-old Patriots fan was probably old enough. And I'm not talking about some, you know, weirdo kids. I think you've got one who's like a savant and like really into sports at an early age. I say weirdo. I would kill to have one of those kids. I love mine. I don't want to change them, but they could impossible for them to care less. But most kids, I think, really start paying attention about maybe 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
Remembering plays, players, stuff like that. So a 30-year-old Patriots fan, all he knows is Tom Brady and afterward. That's all he knows.
Yeah. Why you hold it against him?
Like, so...
Look, we got to sit and watch a terrible team that stunk in a terrible stadium.
Yeah, to that end, okay, do Patriots fans hold the team to too high a standard? If you're talking about a 30-year-old Patriots fan, they're holding the team to the standard, the only standard they know, Super Bowls and AFC championships. That's all they know.
Yeah. Well, and it's been, you know, look, I mean, when this all started in, 2020, Tom left and the COVID year, and that it's hard to get on that year, but I think that's been the reasonable, what's a reasonable expectation now post Brady? Did we think it was going to be like the 49ers where you had Steve Young kind of waiting in the wings and it just kept rolling? I don't think anybody really foresaw it just kind of treading water like this and without those kind of optimistic pieces. And there have been times when you've been really excited about Mac Jones and times when you've been really excited about Christian Barmore, but it just hasn't seemed to come together yet and picked up steam and momentum and started to cross off wins that they, weren't able to get before. I mean, I'm sure Paul could probably speak to those mid-90s Patriots and, kind of what the progression was of, hey, we went toe-to-toe with Marino. We didn't beat him, but we went toe-to-toe with him. So it's like, hey, Mac went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. It was, 41-40, and we lost that game to the Bills again. But, man, we were on to them. And that was, if we had the ball last, we might have won that game. We haven't had those kind of games yet. We're waiting for that.
Yep. Yeah, and I just think in terms of the answer to the question, I don't think they have a ton of star power. I don't think that's a controversial statement. I mean, Matthew Judon is probably
how'd you do that? That was
Matthew
like a
Judon is probably the best player in the team. I think most people would say. So there's not a lot of star power. That I don't really think is arguable. The other part of it is more of a subjective thing and what you hear and what Fred always makes fun of me for hearing things that he doesn't hear, and he talks about the zeitgeist and all this, silly stuff. I think in general, the team's success, it's not necessarily like you're expecting too much. In terms of well, they lost these 2 games, so this is a disaster, and this team is not going to. But they still talk like they're the old Patriots. And I think that mindset is permeating around. I heard on our shows, Hardy, I can call you a colleague, right?
Of course. Coworker.
We're talking about all the wins that are around the corner. The toughest part of the schedule is these first 4 games. And even if they go 0-4, and one of them was my buddy Chris Gasper. I heard on Friday talking about this, and I meant to give him static when I was doing my chin wag. He says, even at 0-4, I won't give up because they have a lot of wins coming. And he's rattling off. He said the Saints, Washington, Indy, the Giants, the Raiders. Those are 5 of the teams that he had mentioned. And I was like, I will take a coin right now, and I will flip a coin on all 5 of those games. And most likely, the Patriots are either going to go 3-2 in those 5 games or 2-3. Those are all even games. Yeah. The only one I think really confidently about out of that 5 is Indy.
Yeah,
I think they will beat Indianapolis. I'm pretty confident.
Frankfurt.
I'm pretty confident they will beat Indianapolis. Are you telling me right now if you had to put a mortgage payment on a game against the Raiders in a couple of weeks, or the Saints here with that defense coming into town?
How about the Commanders?
Then he says, okay, so Buffalo is going to be tough, but then they go to Miami, and Tua won't be there by that time. And I'm like, okay, listen,
God, I hate that. I hate
that. But that's why, these Jets games that we're talking about. I mean, how would we be talking about this game today if Aaron Rodgers didn't get hurt?
The only reason why we're talking about this game today as a must-win is because everyone thought they were going to win last week. And there were a lot of people okay with going 1-3 in the first 4 because you weren't going to win against the Eagles, you weren't going to beat Aaron Rodgers in New York, and you weren't going to beat the Cowboys. But now everyone's still trying to convince themselves it's okay. Now, obviously, the big X factor for the Jets is Aaron Rodgers and him not playing today.
Right.
And believe me, I'm still saying they better get the win today, but it is this shuffling of expectations that's going on. The expectations need to be shuffled to a much larger degree than what most Patriots fans are willing to do.
And that's what I'm talking about. Do we set the standard too high? I think if you talk like that, and then and I'm not here to kill anyone's opinion. Opinions are all individual. I'm not telling you shouldn't have a thought. But if you think that way, they're playing the Giants. The Giants are 1-2 right now. They don't look great. You're 0-2, and you haven't led for a single second of the season. You did not have the lead at all in the first 2 games. But suddenly, the Patriots are dealing with much less problems than
all of a sudden you're
the Raiders
you're circling,
or the Giants.
Yeah, you have not yet held a lead, but you're circling 5 wins on the schedule.
Right.
Yeah,
and if you think like that, yes, you're holding it to too high of a standard. If you think all of those games are going to be wins,
yeah.
I think that they have 9 games like that on the schedule. I would throw the Chargers in Denver,
Sure.
down the road into that Pittsburgh. I think they have 9 games that I would literally say, depending on the day you ask me, I could make an argument for either team. So what's going to happen? You're going to go 5-4 in those games. Maybe. You might go 4-5.
And I think the other ones you do not expect them to win in any way, shape, or form.
The two Buffaloes, Miami and Kansas City, and Dallas, I think are 5 games that right now, I don't know how you can have a lot of confidence they're going to win any of those.
So 4-13, 5-12 on the table.
I would probably go 6, just because I have so much respect for Belichick.
Okay.
But I told you.
On the table, not your prediction, but on the table.
Yeah, coming into the season, I felt 7 or 8 was the number. I got mocked and ridiculed for it by Mike and Tony when they asked me the high, if everything goes right. And I said, 7 or 8. And among that I was thinking was like Aaron Rodgers not working out. I didn't expect him to get hurt in week 1, but it didn't work.
Right.
Well, that happened. So now you got 2 games that I would have put in the L column that they're in the coin flip column now. Right? So you're probably going to win. I think you could win 8 games still.
Mac Jones out there warming up as we get ready for the Patriots and Jets. They'll be kicking off about 45 minutes from now. How about that? Getting closer and closer here on this Patriots pregame show, which is fueled by Dunkin. So we'll keep watching warm-ups here.
Only too wet. Looks maybe a little windy, but nothing crazy.
It's not holding Mac from being able to run.
Nope.
And roll out.
Looks good.
How come he doesn't get the weatherman thing? I mentioned it for a half a second.
What are you, a weatherman now?
Yeah.
Are you a weatherman?
Specifically for you.
That was good. Thanks.
That was good. Thank you.
Let's go to, I don't think it's like that in Hawaii where Dallas is. Dallas, what's going on?
Hey, boss. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, Dallas.
So I'm going off of what Dustin said about Robert Kraft replacing Bill Belichick because we're basically having the same results that we had last year. In my opinion, we're not having anywhere near the same results from last year. We still have a little bit of the same results. I'd say the top defense, one of the top defenses in the league. But Mac Jones, he's not having the same results at all. He's tied 3rd for first downs, tied 4th for touchdowns, 6th place for passing yards, and 9th place in completion percentage. That is nothing compared to what he was producing last year.
Well, you didn't watch the last 7 weeks last season because that's exactly what he did last year. They throw the ball too much. They get a lot of plastic yards, and they don't score any points. It's very similar to the last half of last year.
He's unable to finish in what I've seen. He's unable to do what...
Well, they didn't move the ball at all against Miami. They had under 300 yards of offense against Miami.
Yeah.
That's a subpar offensive performance. It's very similar to last year.
Yeah.
I know it's a new coach, and I know there's bells and whistles, and everybody's excited, but they still don't go under center. They still don't use play action, and they still don't score points.
Well,
now it's only 2 games. We'll see if it changes. He's throwing the ball more than anybody else. That's why he has more yards than some other people. They lead the league in pass attempts.
Yes, they do.
That's not a good stat. That's not a stat you want to lead the league in unless you're like Patrick Mahomes and you're scoring 35 every week.
Him not going under Dallas. Thanks. I'm sorry. We gotta kind of move things along here. Them not going under center and doing that. How much of that is a function of the offensive line and the position they've been in?
I think it's a great deal. I think it's probably 75%. Now I put the other 25% on. I don't think Mac likes it. I don't think Mac likes being under center.
No. Now that Trent Brown is back, you got some $2 million headache medicine, so he's going to be back out there ready to play.
Hard words from a hard man.
Little
harsh but fair.
Different.
Yeah, I think the offense against Philadelphia, I thought after the ridiculously bad start. So after spotting them a quarter and a half, looked good. I didn't think the offense really ever looked good against Miami. I didn't. I thought most of they down late in the game, 2 scores, and they move the ball. Then when they're down 1 score, they can't move the ball. I have a good chart on that. If you got time?
Yeah.
Should we do it after the break?
Chart?
Take a break
There's
first?
no more break.
There's no more breaks? Are we done?
That's you silly goose.
Yeah,
We're just taking a break.
Sometimes I like to be silly like that.
We got 2 more calls and then over-unders.
Okay, so we'll do 2 more calls, and I do have a chart.
Before we get to the over-unders. Okay, all right. Hey, Ronnie in Cincinnati, quickly, Paul has a chart. Go ahead, Ron.
How we doing, fellas?
Good.
I got one thing about Bill, man, and I just feel like we underappreciate him. I feel like every other team in the league can't do what Bill do with I understand we put ourselves in this spot, but I just feel like, I don't know, I just look at things differently, man. Bill, I think he's just doing the best he can. Maybe not as a DM, But I think the Arizona Cardinals went to the Super Bowl win, and what have they been since then? We still competitive with 500. That's not what we want. That's not what we settle for. We want wins. We make playoffs. It's like I just don't like the slander. That's all I got.
I tell you what, Ronnie.
Why are we comparing ourselves to the worst franchise in football?
But I'm glad you caught yourself and said, I know we put ourselves in this position. No. Bill put you in this position. So, but he did catch himself. He said, I know Bill, the GM.
Arizona, what do we care about Arizona? It's like literally the worst franchise in the league.
Right.
I guess he was trying to illustrate hard to get back to the big game. They've never been back to the big game after getting there once, I would guess, would be maybe what the point was.
You speak Ronnie.
I don't know what the point. I don't know what that means. I really don't.
Deshaun in Virginia, what did he mean?
Basically, what I want to touch on is that when it comes to wins and losses of the season, I think it comes down to a talent deficiency problem because Mac is very good, but he's limited to what he probably can do as far as taking over a game with athleticism because he's more of a pocket passer. But when it comes to trying to win games down in crunch time, it's going to be much more difficult because he has no alpha dogs at receiver talking about it. Something really spoke volumes to me when it was a Patriots press guy or a Patriots beat writer came last week when one of the Dolphins players came up and told him that, did you know that Pop Douglas is actually Pop Douglas is the only good player on that offense, and he's a 6th rounder.
Yep.
So that speaks volumes about our wide receiver room as far as it not being very good, and the opposition thinks so as well when it comes to this.
Yep. It is. It's an issue of talents. It's an issue of utilizing that talent when especially with regards to Douglas, and understanding that you don't have the other pieces around right now to make up for the lack of talent, especially on offense right now. It's this recurring theme, Paul.
Yeah, the talent is the problem. I
doing
totally agree.
Things the same way that they did for years with Brady here. You could make up for the lack of talent because you had Brady, and you can't anymore.
Yeah, well, I agree. Tie it to Paul's 2006 team. They shouldn't have went out there in San Diego, and you hit a long pass along the sidelines to.
Let's face it. The guy doesn't fumble on the interception. You do lose.
Yeah, the Troy Brown. Yeah.
The point is that team just was willed to win by their quarterback, and this is not Mac Jones's fault.
No.
Mac Jones, I don't think has played as well as some have given him credit for. But I have not thought they lost either one of these games in any way because of him. Nope. And I said so after both games in the post game. I kind of have him in the middle. I think he's done some good things. I think he's done some not so good things. But the bottom line is when games are to be won, he hasn't really come up with the big plays. They're not always his fault. Like the Keyshawn Booty pass, I don't think he could have made it a better pass. I think it was perfect. Great shots of warm-ups here. We saw some of the offensive line there between David Andrews and Anderson, and there's a Michael Wenu there. So,
yeah, we'll see what the offensive line looks like. I should point out too, Barmore was on the injury report this week with a knee issue, so he is one that was able to play through an injury today.
All right. Your chart, Paul. What do you have on your chart
so
before the over?
Real quick, there's a lot of numbers here. I did a lot of work, but I'm just going to break it down to real simple. The Patriots have had the ball down by 1 score.
Yep.
In the second half, 7 times, 7 drives, and this counts everything. First drive of the third quarter of the opener.
Gotcha.
16-14 trailing, 1st and 10 on their own 25. They've had 7 drives. Well, if they went down and scored, they would have either tied or taken the lead.
Gotcha.
He's 17 for 31 for 127 yards. That's 54.8%. No touchdowns, no picks, no points, with a 64.9 rating.
Okay, can you give that to me again, please? So 7 drives.
7 drives
in the second half.
In the second half of games that they were within a score.
And Mac's numbers are
54.8%, 64.9 passer rating. No points. 7 drives, no points. Okay, some of those drives, matter of fact.
How many 3 and outs?
No, one of those drives started in opponent territory. How many 3-and-outs, you ask?
Yeah.
2 3-and-outs. 1 4-and-out. They got a first down and then 3-and-out.
Yeah.
Some of those drives, they move the ball. But it's punt, turnover on downs, punt, downs. Those are the 7 drives. Now, on the flip side, where the numbers are coming from, the numbers that Dustin was. Yeah. It wasn't Dustin. It was someone else who was saying like it's much different than this. They've also had the ball 5 times in the second half of games when they're trailing by more than 1 score. Here are those numbers: 16 for 21, 166 yards. That's 76.2%. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 20 points, 110.4 rating.
So we got to be down by 2.
So if you're down by 2 scores, it's lights out.
Well, this is
pressure off.
Whenever Bill mentions something about winning a certain number of quarters after one of these losses.
Oh yeah.
Or how
that was last year, right? The quarters were like the old CBA.
Yeah, and how this you can actually put some points on the board. How many times in the Tom Brady era did we see teams outscore the Patriots in the second half?
Oh.
It was a thing because they didn't have to. They would say, all right, now we're going to all right, take your foot off the gas. Probably a bad metaphor. Nobody wants to say that. But you do. When you're up a couple of scores, you don't need to play the same way. You need to play to protect your lead and win the game.
I would just say that in the glory days, when Brady was really ripping it up and they were winning like 20 games in a row, we would call those stats garbage stats. We would call it garbage time stats when the opponent did it. Like this, we would say the defense was excellent today, even though they allowed 24 points.
It was one of the things
because we would say when the game was over, Ryan Fitzpatrick went up and down the field twice and made it look closer than it was.
And they were just letting them.
To which I would say, largely, in most of those games, I agree. I think the Patriots defense did used to give up a lot of plastic yards that didn't mean anything.
Sure.
There's been a lot of that in the first 2 games.
All right.
For the reason that you're saying.
Good chart, Paul. Good stuff.
It's a chart that I will be building on because I want to see if it changes.
Okay.
I'm with Mike.
It's like a little poll last year. You got a little chart this year.
I'm waiting for the narrative to change. I'm with Mike on this. Yeah. Like, we've seen this style. Can they win in a different style? And when that starts happening, I want to have charts for that too. I want to see the change and see if we can identify what they've improved on to make the difference.
Another major show announcement in addition to presenting the key to the game, the best key with a key every week.
You're such a jerk.
From now on, we will have Chart Topper. So, next week, Deuce, you will come in with a chart.
And we'll see. I get to do like Earth, Wind, and Fire. I could be the chart topper.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
It was just the 21st night of September, by the way.
Only you have to come in with a chart next week.
All right, I'm going to have to write this down in my assignment book.
And we'll see if you can be the chart topper. And if not, Paul will be both the key master and
the gatekeeper
on top of the charts.
Gozer.
Are you the gatekeeper?
Over-unders, let's go.
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
You're over me? When were you under me?
What happened last week, Marine Matt, and what are the season totals?
Mike and Hardy 3-3. Paul went 2-4, bringing the season totals to Hardy 6-6. Mike and Paul 5-7.
Oh, suckling hind teat. Sharing the hind teat between Deuce and Paul.
So the underrated story or the undertold story is just how badly Paul is struggling and nearly going in everything.
Yes.
Everything.
Thank goodness there's no chart for this.
Oh, I have charts.
Oh,
you gonna fire the
coach?
I was
3-12-1 last week with the number.
All right, what do we got?
Mac Jones passing touchdowns 1.5.
Deuce.
Ooh. You know what? I think this is gonna be a ground game. I'm gonna go under on this one.
All right.
I'm going to be with Deuce there, and I'm going to take the under also.
Okay. Well, I'm on record as saying I think this game goes against script. So, can I finish it, please?
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Can I say my words? Over.
Zach Wilson passing yards 181.5.
Paulie Paul.
I'm going to take the under on that because I just think that they might lock him onto the bench and buckle him in and not let him ruin the game. Under.
I need points in this game. I'm going over.
Oh, boy. I'm going under on this one.
I
Ezekiel.
just can't believe I just said under 181 passes.
I know, it's
impossible.
Ezekiel Elliott rushing yards 23.5.
God, it's 23.5.
These are DraftKings numbers.
I know. Well, I mean, based on Ezekiel Elliott's performance, I get it. I'm going over.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll the dice. I'll go over on that too.
Yeah, I'll take the under on that.
Wow.
No hesitation. Like, happy to take it.
No, I mean, he was kind of. Yeah,
There's a chance
I know
that it's
what's
like
going on.
3rd and 21 and he rips off a 17-yard draw, like, and ends up over 23.5. But this has got to be about Stevenson today.
This next one is just pure guess here. Last scoring play. What type is it going to be? A touchdown, a field goal, or a safety?
Ooh.
Go safety, too.
No, I'm not gonna go safety. I'm gonna go FG, field goal.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm going to go field goal as well.
Well, you know me. The action is the juice. I'm going touchdown.
Oh, no me.
Unless you want to give me odds on safety, where if I get it right, I get like
You get credit for
6
3.
bonus.
You get credit for 3 wins.
Yeah.
I can barely add the numbers. You want me to
Okay, all right. We're not doing odds then.
He ain't lying.
Shortest touchdown yards, 2.5.
That's really short. Sorry, Paul. That's you.
Oh, I'll take the so if there's a 1-yard touchdown, that would be I have the
One
under.
or two.
1-yard touchdown.
I have the under, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take the under.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take the under on that. Goal line touchdown, punch it in, sure.
I'll go over.
Like Ohio State last night, that was a 1-yard touchdown run, correct?
It was.
And the total score, 36.5.
Oh, you know me. I am going over on this, baby. Over.
I got to stick with what I've been saying, even though it doesn't look like it's gonna be much of a weather game. I'm gonna go under.
Yeah, I'm on the under as well. I just don't see a lot of points. Always the chance that the defense scores and Hardy wins, but I don't see it.
Okay. All right, very good.
I don't see it.
Thank
you
you,
know,
Matt.
that Notre Dame game last night. I don't know if you guys caught. You guys see
Watch
the
a little.
the
I didn't see
controversy
the-
at the end.
No.
So the last 2 plays, Notre Dame only had 10 guys in the field, and I just.
Oh, I missed that. I was watching it muted in the bedroom as my bride was sleeping.
So the conversation in the post game, and he recognized it. Notre Dame, it's Marcus Williams. Is that his name? Why am I blanking on Notre Dame's coach? But anyway, he said, "Yeah, we didn't have any timeouts, and we couldn't take a penalty down there." And I'm thinking to myself, why would you be so afraid of taking a penalty? The ball's on the 1-yard line. Run a guy out there. If he doesn't make it and it's a penalty, it's a penalty.
Half the distance to the goal line.
Isn't that better than having a chance with 11, stopping them than you would have with 10?
Yeah.
What's the difference in the
What's-
penalty?
Who cares about a
Like,
penalty
I just
when
didn't
they're-
understand.
when you're on the 1.
Like, if he had said to me that, yeah, we had some confusion because I guess they called timeout like 2 plays earlier. Everybody went to the sideline after the pass because it was like a 3rd and 19 pass that got him down to the 1.
Yeah. Yep.
And then they called timeout after a spike or whatever, and only 10 guys went back out onto the field. If he wasn't aware that they only had 10 guys back out in the field, then, it's unfortunate, but it happens. But to know that there was 10 guys in the field and say we didn't have any more timeouts and we didn't want to get a penalty down there. We couldn't take a penalty. It's like the teams sometimes when it's like 3rd and 15 and it's like, middle of the 3rd quarter and you're on your own 5-yard line and you're going to get a delay of game. Like, who cares?
No.
Don't waste the timeout. Just take the delay of game.
I tell you what, man, that 3rd and 19, for the coverage was so good on both sides all game. It was putrid. They were doing like the umbrella formation that the Revolution do, trying to keep the ball, in the forward 2/3 of the field. He went down there, and there were the corner. I think a linebacker had dropped and the safety, and they're all like just standing around, and he got in front of all of them and caught the pass. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It was surprising that they allowed that as easily as they did. It reminded me of that play in the Dallas game. You got
I was just going to give a
news?
little
News
update.
notes?
Easy Lazar up there reporting Vidarian Lowe at right tackle for warmups.
Oh.
So flopping him maybe from the left side to the right side. And Miles Bryant opposite Christian Gonzalez in the base defense. Sean Wade, Amir Speed took the next reps. Mills staying at safety for now. So
Yeah,
probably about what you'd expect.
I threw out the low possibility that the 3 of us were talking about all week on the chin wag. So I'm glad that was something that could happen anyway.
Nice.
Matt in England wants to know if this is going to be a big game for Juju. What do you think?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Jets defense is really good. This is from Dexter in Santa Rosa. Patriots defense plays good, not great, but doesn't get pick sixes or pick threes. This is a this or that. Mac Jones picks apart the Jets defense, throws 50 times and completes 35 for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and wins decisively. That's how the game would have to unfold in order to inspire confidence. Pat's defense plays good, and Mac Jones picks apart the Jets defense and throws 50 times and completes 35.
Wow.
That's again, we're talking about standards that I don't know if they're realistic standards.
But I just would look at it as like, I think everybody wants just the definitive nature. And I do like that about the NFL. Like every week, it's like, this is what it is. Bang.
Yeah.
You know, so that would inspire confidence. Like, okay.
I just know what I don't want it to look
beating
like.
a team you've beaten 14 times in a row. Like, now we're back. Like, you guys told me all offseason that they'll jet it up. The Jets are going to jet, and they suck. But now if Mac Jones throws the ball 50 times and they put up all kinds of numbers, we're back, baby. I don't know. I'd have to see it.
Johnny in Madtown, is Bill on the hot seat? William in Philly, or Willem in Philem, if Fred is saying it, is absolutely right. You would have told me Bill would have had the franchise looking like this after Brady. I would have let go of Bill when Brady left. And then side question for Marine Matt. Do you like Matt Reeves, the Batman? It's his favorite movie of all time. You like the Batman?
Did enjoy it.
The Batman?
Yeah.
Is he a good hitter?
What's your favorite Batman movie?
I like
one?
Snyder's Justice League. Is Ben Affleck's Batman.
What?
It was amazing.
Why are you upset?
I will fight you on this one, so let's go.
Roll up. Lights green, kid. I don't sweat you.
Black and white version's even better.
Oh, God.
I don't sweat you. His lungs will punch out.
The Ben Affleck Batman?
God, he was the best.
I love the Batman.
That and Spiderman. LOPU crew. This
Hello.
is the Patriots.
Jerry.
This is Kyle from Schenectady. I know this would never happen because of Juju's contract. Would you ever see Booty develop with actual game reps or continue to see Juju just catch balls and do nothing with them?
Ooh. I mean, something to watch. I mean, I don't think what you've invested in Juju so far, you can afford to just like pull back. But I mean, it seems like I prefer Douglas last week taking those plays that were specifically designed for Juju. It feels like that would be more dynamic. So I just think this is something to watch as we go forward. But certainly with what this team needs, continued development of Kayshon Boutte would be a big plus for this offense.
Yeah, I think I agree with Mike. I think Douglas has shown signs of having some sort of explosiveness that the rest of the core lacks. So I'd be all in on that. I haven't seen any of that from Boutte.
Final email before we get to the final calls. This is from Parker in Manhattan, 58th and 10th. It's an aggressive drizzle right now. It's very wet and foggy out. The wind is not intense enough to break an umbrella.
It's an aggressive drizzle.
I like that. Okay. Here we go. A couple of calls. We'll do the six-pack, and then we'll be on our way. We go to Nick in Florida. Is this Nick Baby Love?
Ooh.
Maybe it was.
Maybe the cyclone is still in Florida.
That's a terrible connection. I don't know
that's
what's going
tough.
on with it. Sorry about that,
Can't
Nick.
even blame you on that one. We didn't get the
How about Erica in Virginia? Erica?
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing today?
Excellent.
Hey, Paul, you in the house today?
I am in the house. What can I help you with?
So, listen, I know I should probably be posing this question towards the end of the season, but my ADHD brain can't allow for it.
Oh, I like it.
So, and this isn't me saying fire Belichick in any type of way, just a question I want to pose. You've been around the Kraft-Belichick relationship the longest. What is a time frame do you think after Kraft is saying, I want to get back to winning, what's a time frame that he gives Belichick to get back on track before he actually does let him go? Because, I mean, when you look around the league, you got people being let go, you know, less than 6 months, a year in, a season in. You know, what's that time frame actually look like for him?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Erica. And I think the difference between this, obviously, is the track record. I mean, you have a guy who's won 6 Super Bowls for you and won so many games that You really can't compare it to any other situation around the league with with guys getting fired. He has earned far more leeway than anybody else. What the relationship is like now, I don't pretend to know, but I do think that there, depending on how the season unfolds. Now, my guess is they'll end up righting the ship and, being competitive like they have been, and it won't be to the point where you need to make a move. I think it has to be a disaster for Robert to say we need to call it now. If it's somewhere around, eight wins or so, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
I would say
it gives me a little bit confident.
Yeah, well, Erica, I would say this. If you just look at it in a bit of a vacuum, you don't have to go crazy. But is it enough to say for an owner saying, you know what? We've got one winning season in 4. If they end up 8-9, even 8-9, which would not be a total disaster. But if you look and say, we've had one winning season in the last 4 post Tom Brady, sorry, Bill, I got to let you go. Is he out of line?
I don't think so, but I think it's going to be hard to do.
Yep. Eric, I didn't mean to hang up on you so abruptly. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
I think the other small part of it, too, though, was just that we talked about the Patriots don't really have any star power. And I think for people outside of New England, the Patriots are Bill Belichick right now. So, I mean, it's not to say that he's still that, has that mystique everywhere, but I think that that's really the Patriots right now. And moving on from
ironically,
him,
that's why I would make the move, because they don't have any star power, and that's him. He's the GM.
Sunday six-pack time. Let's do it.
This is the Sunday six-pack, so kick back and listen to my position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack. Get it mixed, Jack. I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday six-pack.
Rough week last week for a couple of guys. So we'll find out what happened. Again, this is so strange. Was there a correction made?
Yes.
After it was already typed out,
Impossible.
Marine Matt?
Yes.
Every week.
Every week.
Scribbled out, written on with crayon, the actual numbers. Okay, What do you got?
So Mike and Paul went 0-2-1. Hardy 2-0-1 last week, bringing the season totals to Mike 6-2-1, Hardy 5-3-1, Paul 2-6-1.
Paul pretty much out of it after 2 weeks.
Couldn't agree more.
It's over.
I've lost it.
It's
when
over.
you just lose your mojo, I've lost it.
Yeah. Well, see if you can just think of these as morality wins here this week if you get a couple. What do we got, Matt?
Couple 1 p.m. games. The 0-2 Denver Broncos at the 2-0 Miami Dolphins. Miami minus 6.5.
Minus 6.5. No Jalen Waddle, but I think Miami's going to still roll. Very impressed with them. I'll take Miami. I'll lay the points.
I will as well. Really impressed with the way they started the season with 2 road wins.
We are all taking the Dolphins, winning by a touchdown. They're at home against the lowly Broncos. That seems perfectly plausible.
The 1-1 Buffalo Bills at the 2-0 Washington Commanders. Buffalo minus 6.
Paul?
I'm going to take the points on this one. I think this is one of those closer than you anticipate kind of games. I do think Buffalo will win, but I think it'll be tight.
Yeah, I think the Commanders are better than what I was giving them credit for. But again, I don't think it's out of line to think that Bills can beat them by a touchdown today, even in Washington. So I'm going to take the Bills.
Yeah, I'm with Hardy. I'll take the Bills as well.
The 1-1 Indianapolis Colts at the 2-0 Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore minus 8.
I hate laying anything close to double digits. I don't like doing it, but I get screwed on these more than any others. So I will lay the 8 points with Baltimore. I will take the Ravens.
Yeah, tough one. I know Baltimore's banged up, but I'm going to take Baltimore. I'll lay those points.
Yeah, I'm going to take them too. I think the Colts secondary is really rough, and I think Baltimore will be able to score.
The 2-0 New Orleans Saints at the 1-1 Green Bay Packers. Green Bay minus 1.
Deuce.
Green Bay got some major injury issues as well today that give me a little bit of pause, but they are at home, so I'm going to take the home favorites. I'll take Green Bay.
I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to take the Saints. Take the defense on the road.
You know what? I like the Saints too. Why not?
I don't know.
Let's have a little fun.
I'm 2-6-1.
Yeah.
The action is the juice.
Monday Night Football, the 2-0 Philadelphia Eagles at the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Philly minus 5.
This is you, Paulie Paul.
I am going to take the Eagles in this one. I think Baker Mayfield's played really solid football the first couple of weeks, and the Eagles' defense has played wretchedly bad. But, 10-day break, they come back. Actually, 11 days because it's a Monday night game. I think the Eagles bounce back.
I got a thing from Monday Night Dogs. Give me the Bucks.
I'm on the Eagles. Lay the points.
And finally, the 0-2 New England Patriots at the 1-1 New York Jets. New England -2.5.
New England Patriots will win today by a score of 21-17. So they go over the 37-point threshold. Just squeak over. Pats lay the 2.5, 21-17 Patriots.
Yeah, I'm going to adjust my score a little bit. I still got Patriots winning, not as quite as low scoring as I had on Thursday. I'm going to say Patriots win 17-13.
Paul.
And as is usual, Mike takes my scores.
Sorry.
Sorry. I see a similar kind of game, and 17-13 was what I went with for the TV show and for the Thursday show. And
no weather.
You can switch it up.
Yeah, I'll stick. Well, I think I did switch
18,
some of my
13.
other picks. But I'll take the Patriots to win the game, 17-13.
And there it is.
All right, that's it.
I don't know why you have to drop pencils and
Because I think we're going to change up a little bit.
17.
How about 18-14?
14.
You know what I would love? Everyone listening and watching right now to be back here post-game. Wouldn't that be something?
All just to celebrate a wonderful win that we feel
go
great
home and
about.
It'll still be light out.
Oh,
First
wonderful.
time of the year.
I don't know if it's going to be light out.
It's pretty gloomy.
6:15, a little gloomy.
It's pretty gloomy.
Get a
We'll
sunset
see.
out there.
So the 2-hour post-game, join us for that episode of the post-game show as it begins right after the game. Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.